Welcome to the Planty Podcast. Great episode here today. We have a lovely interview with graphic designer Lauren Ortega. She had a lot to say for anyone who is in school and sort of working on a hobby. It doesn't even have to be art, but just sort of like having a main task and then a side task that you really love. Definitely listen. She did a great job just sort of breaking it all down, time management, all of that. I am joined by my lovely co-host, Cameron. Cameron, how are you doing today?
I am chilling. I got a lot of shit to do, but we gonna do this shit. We gonna do this shit.
Make sure you are following plan_C_podcast. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. Make sure you are checking us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, any other place we are. Google Podcasts, Breaker, Anchor. We are motherfucking there. Make sure you are rating, reviewing, liking, subscribing, following, whatever the hell the thing is that makes the algorithm likes us. Do it, please. Make sure you are checking out previous podcasts, whether it's about anime, whether it's about Marvel, whether it's about student athletes getting paid in the NCAA. It's all there. Check it out. Hope you enjoy this episode. Gonna see you on the other side. Peace. And we are back. As we said in the intro, today we are joined by Lauren, who is a graphic designer, went to school, or the School of Visual Arts. I never know if there's a "the" there. School of Visual Arts, the School of Visual Arts. I don't know. Either way, welcome to the podcast, Lauren. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm tired and exhausted as hell, but I'm fantastic today.
Hey, glad to hear. So you and lovely co-host Cameron, you both went to SVA. I'm just going to call it SVA, not the SVA, because that's what sounds cool. You guys went to SVA, you know, you're a graphic designer, you have your own podcast, and I sort of just got to ask you, you know, what got you started on this path?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like, you know, as time goes on, like I always have this thing about growing with me, right? But as far as doing the podcast and being like, I don't know, this broadcast person in entertainment, I didn't think that would be, you know, my next step in life, I guess. But I think really what started it was just going through the emotions of struggling all the time. And I don't know, like when it comes to like struggling or dealing with certain things, I feel like talking about it or talking with friends or talking with people, I feel like me realizing that that's more valuable than anything else. But I don't know, like as far as it's hard to explain that too, because I don't know, I've been through a lot of shit. But starting it though, like when it comes to starting it and like really thinking about how did I come about this, I can't even remember at this point, because it's just like I told myself I always wanted to you know, have a show or do something like that. Even when I was a kid, I used to have this thing where this is really weird too that I've been doing.
Say it. Okay.
But when I was little, right, I used to have this thing and I called it the Ortega Show. And I used to like be like the quote unquote sound effects person, and like I used to bring my parents in and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I'm making a show right now, or I'm dancing, or I'm doing something stupid, right? And I didn't realize this has always been subconsciously in my head all the time, to just be a person of entertainment. And I love shows, I love Steve Harvey, all this shit. But I don't know, like my personality, I think I was meant to do this for like a really long time. And I think manifesting it and really understanding like you have to follow what you want to do. And I don't know, this shit's been with me for like a long time. But yeah.
No, I feel that because I'm sort of the same way, because I'm a sports writer, and for the longest time I had no idea what I was doing, but I was always like so into sports and, you know, so analytical about it. And then once I started writing, you know, actually doing it, I was like, oh, you know, this sort of makes sense. Like this is me. Okay, yeah, cool. This is totally fine. So I got you. You know, I certainly struggle with this, but How do you like, you have a podcast, you drop episodes weekly. How do you just stay on top of that? Like what's your method here?
Man, this is hard too. Like staying consistent
Oh my
every week,
God.
that shit is hard.
I,
But
I
what
hate it.
for real, it's hard because it's like, and that's the thing too. I don't want to pressure no one to like do it every week, do it every week. But me, it's just what I try to do is like time management is key. And I don't think people understand what time management really means. It doesn't mean just like, doing when you feel like it. I think there's something called time blocking, right? And it's literally blocking out specific times in your day to do a certain task, right? And what I try to do is like try to get it in before Friday or try to get it in this time. Sometimes like I'll be in a rush and it'll be like Thursday night and I'm like shit. So I try to get it early, like try to do it Monday, but having a calendar, learning about time management. And even like famous people do this too. Like Elon Musk has done like time blocking. I've heard like so famous people do this too. I think it really has to do with like just knowing what do you have time for and when do you feel most productive in that time too. Because what I'm starting to notice is like I was trying to be the person to be like, oh, I can wake up real early and I could do this, but it's like that's not me. I'm more productive at night. So, when it's like the weekend, I try to get the shit in like a week before it's due. Or what I've been doing now is like trying to get it in a month before all the shit is due. So like I think I dedicated 1 week to like doing every single podcast guest of the month. And when you look at that, that's like 5 podcast guests. So it's like I had a week where I recorded every day. I had like 2 podcast guests, and I was recording it and then editing it, and then and that's the thing too. I don't edit like right after. I like edit like on Fridays, and then post it the week of, so I'm feel a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, that's what my ways of time management. But I think it has to do with what you're comfortable with too. Like you don't want to stress yourself out trying to get a fucking video in or get a podcast in, but time management, time blocking. I have a planner. I have like 2 planners.
Oh, I feel that. I got a planner myself. That shit saves my life.
The thing is too, color coding. I know that's real weird, and this is some weird shit I'm about to tell you, but I color code a lot of things in my life, and I don't tell many people this, but even my closet, like I like color code my outfits. And this may seem a little weird, but as a designer, right, I really associate colors with certain things. And like podcast is like purple, right? In my gen. So I'm like, all right, purple is this, purple is this. And I think looking at it at a glance, it makes it so much easier to organize shit by colors just because, emotionally and as a designer, like I know how that's gonna be. But yeah, it's some weird shit, but that's true.
No,
I mean, if it works, it ain't weird.
That's why like people don't understand. You need to get your shit together. That's how you mess it together.
No, I feel you. I definitely I color code like a lot of this stuff on my schedule just because like, different things have different feelings. And like sometimes like if something's blue, it makes me want to do it more if that's what it represents low key. Like it just be like that. But yeah, one thing I was kind of interested in, like because you're talking about time management and all of this, you do like a lot of things. Like you're a designer, you have a podcast, you have a blog, you got your Etsy shop. You got to check all of those out, people that are listening. Please do. But I was kind of wondering, like, how do you prioritize what you want to work on? Because one of the hard parts about time management is like, of course, blocking in what you need to do, but there's also what's the most important thing to do at that time, especially when you're in school and stuff like that.
That's actually a good question. When it comes to priority with me, I feel like school is always going to come first, even though I don't want to say it. But when it comes to getting my work in for school, obviously I'm trying to do that. It's going to be difficult now as far as like trying to get podcast guests in or trying to get Etsy listings on my shop. But I think what it really has to do with like, how is it going to benefit you in the long term after this? So like, if I could like schedule like my most prioritized thing to my least prioritized thing, it's like, all right, school, obviously, because after I graduate, I got to do all this shit with school, right? So let me just get my schoolwork done. And then podcast stuff, I think that really comes second, and even freelancing. Because even though I don't show how much freelancing or side projects I do. I feel like that is important too, as far as building clientele. And even the podcast, like the podcast is another important thing for me, just because it's kind of my way to show myself and give myself representation. Um, and also like to promote myself, because in the long term, right, this is kind of a way for me to document who I am or the people I've talked to. So that's kind of why I put that in a high priority list. um but another thing too, even with my shop, like I try to do things like every month, something fun or something creative, just so I could keep my art going. But I try to look at it like as a um just a way of documentation and a way to show other people that, okay, like from from the beginning I stood out like this, but as you grow and if you're consistent with every week, it's gonna show in the time that it goes in. But I don't know, like I don't know, as far as like, I wouldn't say I choose one over the other, because I feel like it's all balanced in the same way at the same time. Like I don't want to say, um I would put like, I would do school and my first priority is school, and I would never like do school before my podcast or something like that, just because when school's over I still have to do my things on the side. So I feel like that's just as important, but trying to balance it out, I don't know.
That makes
Got you.
sense. And I feel like when, you're able to balance going to school and doing your own things, that really sort of prepares you for life itself. Because then once you're out of school, you already have the time management skills to be like, to compartmentalize different parts of your day, because, you've already been doing it for so long.
Mhm. And I think that's a really big thing with me too when it comes to school. Like with school, so many people are like, I'm trying to get here, I'm trying to work here, I'm trying to get hired here. But it's like we focus so much on how are we going to benefit someone else's business, but we don't focus on what skills do I have and how can I benefit from my own skill, and what can I do to not only help other businesses but promote myself as an artist, as a designer, as a creative in general. Just because um when people graduate too, and I've talked to a few seniors, a lot of people who are seniors, like they'll graduate and they get this like thing where it's like, oh shit, like I have to do it on myself now. And I think ever since, even before I started college, I always wanted to be the person to like work for myself and be my own boss. And I think that really has to be inspired by like just family members, my parents, like them saying to me, handle your own clients, and you can always work for someone else. But I think being your own boss and doing your own things is still important. And it's still just as important as far as working with someone else.
No, that's good. That's completely true. Like you really have to have your own. If you have your own business, not only are you like more valuable to people that are coming to you, but like you can always fall back on your own stuff in case like you might not be getting the opportunities at the time, because that's how freelance is. Like it's not always back to back to back. Sometimes you need to be able to draw upon your own skills and make something happen. So I definitely feel that. And also, you mentioned you did mention how you use school, and I found that to be like super interesting, because like a lot of people when they go into school they kind of just take the required classes, but they don't necessarily know why they're taking the classes or what they're necessarily trying to learn. And so for some people here who might be they might be just getting into college, or maybe they're looking at what to study, do you have any advice for people in terms of what what skills as a designer do you think are most important to learn in art school?
Oh, I think that's a that's all of these are good questions. And I'm sitting here, I'm like inspired. I'm like, I need to ask this shit on my podcast, because when it comes to like schooling, there is so many opinions I have on schooling, like especially with expensive art school. Like I feel like going to art school really like hit me in my face. Um,
That
but I
price
think
tag.
that's why it's the price tag will always be the worst thing about this school, right?
Yeah.
And there was so many issues that I was going through with this, finding this expensive ass school. But my advice though would be like, first and always do what you know you want to do, and do what you're passionate about. And I know that may sound cliche to some people, but if you're in a class and you feel like you're not going to be motivated to do it, don't do it, because it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time, and it's not going to push forward with your career. So why are you taking it? I don't understand when some people take classes just because like they think it's going to benefit them in the long run because this is where where the industry is going. But sometimes it's like that's not the case if you don't like it at the same time. But even our school really pushes on like taking motion. But when you look at it too, motion isn't just that. Like there's UX UI design, there's interactive design. And I feel like UX UI is, if for those who don't know what UX UI is, it's user interface, user experience, right? So it's like building apps. Um, and I feel like that has been a real big portion as far as like outside of school that no one's really mentioning. Because like in school, they say, take motion, motion is everything. And I think that's true. I think video is going to be like the next thing. But
For
I
sure.
think opening up your realms to seeing different things as far as like, okay, like how can I do interaction designer? I would say try things out and see what you feel most comfortable with, but also do things that you're passionate about at the same time. Like me, I was trying to do things where like even the required classes, I was still trying to do things where I feel like I would have fun. Or even my humanities classes, like right now, right? I'm taking a humanities class that's like journaling. Now, me, I don't consider myself a writer. I don't consider myself someone who will write books, and maybe in the future, maybe, but it's like I love journaling. I like doing things like, that are fun for me, right? So I'm going to take courses that I know I'm going to have fun and know I'm going to like. I'm not going to take a research course right now, unless it's like maybe a research course would be okay, but it's like I want to take things that I'm going to have fun with, but I know I could probably branch out with. Like if I want to write a book, then I could probably take this journaling class and let me see what else I can do with it. But I would say like don't push yourself to do certain things that you're not comfortable with. Follow your passions as far as like picking classes. But one thing I would like to say, and this is like top secret, I guess, with
Ooh.
with what my professors have been saying, like when you talk to some of your professors, like they're the best like mentors as far as telling you what you should do. In like the long run, because right now, right, I have a motion teacher. He was going so in on these people's like just ideas for their career. Some people were like, I want to do editorial, but he's like, okay, but the world's turning digital, so why the hell do you want to make a magazine if everything is digital now? But he did have a point too. Like when you think of like the digital age, right, you kind of want to still be hip to the game at the same time. Like still try to do things that are new and don't be afraid of like it's so hard or I can't do this because it's so difficult. I feel like you should still try to step out of your comfort zone and like try different things when it comes to classes that are like futuristic. I don't want to say like I don't want to tell future designers to be like take UX UI or take motion, that's it. But I do want to say like try to get hip to the game so you're not left behind in the long run at the same time.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Word.
know. This is like a weird, I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but like
No, that's
No.
what it's for.
but that's the thing. Like, this is the thing. I don't want that's the thing. I don't want to tell people what classes to take, but I'm saying like try to get hip to the game. Like I've tried to say like take digital classes that are, I would say like UX UI, motion, try to learn different things. You could still do editorial and do typography, and typography I think is a really important course, low key. And I'm not saying for people to go to art school, but you could also learn typography on YouTube right now. YouTube is like a great option for school. I'm gonna say this
Facts.
first. And I'm gonna admit this too. There has been classes that I've taken on YouTube that were better than my schooling at school. And it's weird to say that, but there was certain instances where I was taking a course, like I was taking typography, right? And I was really struggling with it. Like I really don't know what to do. And
Real quick, for the people, how would you describe typography?
typography is like type, right?
Mm.
And when I say type, it's not like typing or typing words. Typography is like the words that are on your phone or like actual lettering or actual, because like words and letters, those are types or characters, right? So typography is basically like everything that is written in a written format, and it could be different languages. It doesn't have to just be like English. Like it's just how things are written in type and letters and all this stuff and characters that's involved in typography. And that's the thing, people try to push. I feel like the issue right now too is like people try to forget those important steps, like the core of like design. Like I think learning design principles, trying to learn the basics of what design actually is kind of like the first step, I would say, when it comes to starting out. Just because so many people try to do these things and like all these things that are cool and try to design apps and try to do all this, but they lack that first step of like learning the basis of what design is. Like what is type? What is like communication towards an audience? Or what is color theory? Like the basis of that, I think that's what people need to learn first when it comes to starting in a design field and industry. Then start going with different steps and start moving towards what type of design you want to do. And you could do both at the same time, but I think not forgetting that basis of like typography or the basis of what design actually is, and knowing that first, I think that's going to get them further than just trying to like jump on something and then not figure out what they're going to do, you know?
No, I definitely feel you, especially when it comes to like even in like people I know I do comic books and stuff like that. Knowing the fundamentals is incredibly important for anything. Like if you're gonna build a building, if you don't have a solid foundation, it's gonna crumble. And that's whether you're learning something specific or otherwise. Because I find even a lot of people sometimes in school, they go and they might hyper focus on maybe whatever it may be. Let's say it's, I don't know, drawing faces all the time. And while you can get really far doing that, if you don't have the fundamentals and you try to learn something else, it'll be very difficult to learn other things. And in that same vein, I remember you're saying like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to tell people what to take, but I think it is important for maybe some people that don't necessarily know what they want to do yet. And, it's sometimes you don't want to like put yourself in a basket with no bottom. You know what I mean? You don't want to, I want to be able to design the eyebrows on Vogue magazines. Or like, that's not a job no more. It's like, oh shit. Like it's important for you to know, like, what's actually popping right now. And I feel like you did a great job kind of showing what people might want to be going towards. But on the topic of typography, I noticed that you have like a lot of graffiti elements in the type that you do, even like your Etsy store and stuff like that. And I really appreciate that. But I was kind of wondering where you got that inspiration from.
It's kind of funny. I'm so happy that you know it's graffiti. just knowing that it's graffiti. But it's the way I got about doing graffiti. I've been doing graffiti for a long time, since like middle school. And who I got inspired by was actually like my mom and my uncle. And this is weird to say, right? But I was like going through things when like I think I was little, and I was looking through like my mom's and my uncle's like old stuff from like school, or just drawings that they used to do, because a lot of people in my family are artists. And I saw this like drawing of my uncle, and he wrote his name like Cliff, right? And I was looking at it and I was like, this is so dope. And so I took it, right? And I don't even know if I was supposed to take it, but if you listen, guys, like, I'm sorry I took it, but I took the drawing, right? I went home, I put like a paper on top, and I used to always do this like a little hack before like light boxes came about. Like I used to get like a flashlight or something and put it under the paper and then just try to redraw it. So when I redrew his name, I was like, this is so cool. So let me try to draw my name. So I would draw my name in like graffiti style. And back in the day, and this isn't back in the day, this is probably like 2015 or 2011 at this point. But I used to put my name in front of my binder, right? And that was like a way for people to express themselves in middle school and high school. People don't really notice that. And I really started to I really appreciate that now, because people don't understand like having artwork in front of your binder, putting things in your notebook, and how cool that would be to show off and stuff. But and it got me money when I was a kid. Like I used to sell names for like $1, because people would see my binder and it would be in graffiti, and they're like, oh, I want that name. and this is in middle school, right? So even when I was in middle school, I had this like entrepreneur like thing with me where I want to get paid. So I was like, okay, I'll give you $1 if you do. I'll do it in your name and do this name. And I was like, all right, I'll do your name on graffiti. And I don't know. And I didn't even realize like this is a form of typography and this is graphic design. And that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as what you've done as a kid really does take you back when you think of it. Like, I didn't realize what I was doing was typography. I didn't know what I was like hand lettering. That's what I was doing since middle school. And I didn't even realize that until I go to school and I'm like, oh, but that's what graffiti is, or that's what typography is. That's what hand lettering is drawing. You know how long I've been doing that? But yeah, I try to do it like fun things. Now it's kind of like bubble graffiti, but I still try to take it back to like what I did as a kid, just trying to draw my name or trying to draw sayings, and that's kind of why I put it on stickers and just do stupid things. But it's like, even though it may seem like not a big deal to people, and that's another thing too, people think graffiti isn't. I want people to know that graffiti is still like a design form at the same time.
Facts.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, people don't. It's like street fashion too, or streetwear. Like people, like I think that's another form. Like you wouldn't say streetwear isn't fashion, right? So I don't know why people don't consider graffiti as a form of art, because it is a form of art. It's just not the way people think it is when it comes to like tagging and doing all this stuff. But when it comes to a form of art, though, I think it still is, because it's like, even though it's a grunge form of art, it's still art at the same time.
Yeah, and that's not easy at
That's
all.
why, like, some people can't even read it, and it's like, why? And I don't know, when it really comes with culture, I feel like that still needs to be expressed. Like, and that's the thing too. People, I think it was something in art school too. Like, they won't accept graffiti or other things like that. But, and I'm not saying they should, but I'm just saying, like, I wondered why is that because you don't consider it art, or is it because like you don't understand how it could be art? And I don't know, that still should be a form of art, and that still should be a way where artists can express themselves. Cause like, I mean, I get graffiti if it's just line work or certain things, but like detailed graffiti, and when they put like the chrome effect on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I still love graffiti. And I'm still trying to practice it, but I don't know, it's just really dope. And like, I don't know, I feel like people still need to understand that like, just because it's not in your culture, you should still value it as a form of art or something that's still special to them.
It's only a matter of time. That's what I'm thinking. Like, because I feel like everything, when it comes to things about culture that people don't understand, as soon as they understand it, that shit becomes commercial immediately.
Oh,
Like,
in a heartbeat, bro. In a heartbeat.
Yo.
And I don't even know if it's necessarily like people understanding it as much as they see like people of influence like moderately take an interest in it, and they're like, oh my god, like this is the priority now.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you appreciating the art, or are you just a clout chaser?
No, they just throw it in Kanye all day. That's what they do.
That's what I don't get that, man. And it's like, watch it be in some cafe. Watch Starbucks put something stupid like graffiti, like, oh my gosh, it's so urban. And I'm gonna be pissed.
Oh no,
not urban.
Yo, whenever they're, oh my god, like throughout my entire life, whenever somebody has said, I don't know why, like they sometimes even do it in the fucking office, and like I understand it's the office, it's meant to be cringy, but like, oh for fuck's sake, man, just.
I hate that. I did that as a joke one time. I think I was in like a ceramics, or what is it? It was like a class like that you could build with your hands, basically, right? I can't think of the name.
Ceramics?
But it wasn't ceramics, but we were doing that day. Like we were doing ceramics that day, but we were doing sculpture. Like, yeah, that's what it was. It was I can't even fucking think of it. Yes, it was sculpture, but that day we were doing ceramics, right? And he was like breaking up glass. And he was like, oh shit, like I broke the glass. And I was like, urban. And everybody laughed. And it's true, because it's like, even that little piece of shit that he just did, they said, oops, right? It's like that shit one day will be turned into some famous artwork, and somebody will be like, oh my gosh. And it's like, where did you get this inspiration from? It's like, oh, it's urban. Like, no, like, But yes, that was my little rant on that.
Nah, go off.
But no, it's crazy.
Nah, so moving on, I think we've, talked about art school and sort of talked about your beginnings, but what about the right now? And sort of where you're at in terms, not obviously, you're still in school, yeah?
I'm
So
a junior.
but you know, you're still getting your shit off. You know, you take a look at your website, and I was saying this to Cameron, like it's so, even like the little contact page is so fucking professional. It's like really well done. So like, how are you feeling about where you are right now in terms of like your podcast, in terms of your design work? Like, yeah.
Like, I want to say this in the nicest way. Like, I still feel like I need to get my shit together. Like, it's funny because like I do appreciate like just you saying that, because like people don't notice, like I do go through so much, and like just saying I'm doing that website, I'll do it at like 1 a.m. on like a Friday night or 3 a.m. and it's like and I feel like I'm so hard on myself, and I'm like, damn, I need to do more, but it's like you'll talk to someone, they're like, wow, I'm really impressed with your work, or like you're doing good for your age, and it's like, it's not like I feel like I'm running out of time like to do all these things, but it's like I feel like time goes by so fast, and we don't look at what the work we've done. We're so focused, and that I feel like that's me too. I'm so focused on what am I gonna do next? What is the next project? But I don't focus on, damn, like these are my accomplishments. Like, damn, I really do have a podcast. I really did do like 50 episodes almost, and I did all this stuff. But as far as right now, like I feel like I'm still lost. Like I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do as far as like specific things. I know what I want to do though, as far as like owning my own studio or doing that. So I know my goals and what I want to accomplish. But I think I get into these moments where I feel like I'm like, this is a perfect time too, because like I'm so happy I'm doing this podcast, because I feel like this week I've been struggling, and like I feel like every guest I talk to always says this, but I'm happy I'm able to say it, because like I still struggle with things too on a daily basis. Like I still tell myself like, dang, I need to work on this, or like my art isn't that great, I need to work better on like just like little things with typography, or doing things when it comes to like brand projects. So I'm in a place where I don't know what I'm gonna do specifically, as far as like what type of designer am I gonna be, where am I gonna be at. But I know, like, I see myself doing what I love, doing the work that I love, and getting paid for it. But I don't know, like, as far as right now, it's been just difficult. Like, as far as trying to find an internship, trying to do this, like, I know, like, this is like weird to say, but like, unpaid internships are just whack. Let me just say that.
They're whack. They're
as
bullshit.
as a designer right now, you're a junior and you're struggling, or whatever age you are right now in your career, and you're just struggling. I can just understand that right now, just because it's like you contact all these people, right? They say, oh, your work is amazing, da, 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 but it's like they're not hiring you because of this, and then it's like you have all this work to show for it, and then you watch YouTube videos, and then they talk about maker culture and da, 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 and it's like your mind goes all over the place. And I feel like that's where I am right now, as far as like, oh my gosh, I'm still trying to figure out things. And now that school's starting, I'm just like, I need to just not let all of this shit bother me. Let me just try to focus on my craft. And like, I feel like, and I hear this all the time too, focus on your craft, focus on your craft. But I'm really starting to understand, like, let me just not stress myself, and let me focus on the work that I like to do. And I think that's what kind of gets me going, because like, if I focus on why isn't my Etsy shop popping, or why isn't this growing, or why don't I have like 10K on Instagram, if I focus on that, I'm not going to be focused on my work. And I think right now what I'm trying to do is just like go back down, go back from like 10, because I think summer I had a really open schedule, and I was trying to do everything right. And then now I'm like, all right, I'm back into like a schedule. Let me try to, that's why I'm kind of like saying I'm struggling, because I'm like, let me try to find a job. Oh, I can't find a job yet. Okay, let me try to find something else. Let me try to find freelancing. Let me do this. Let me still try to get client work. And I want to do it in a way where it's like it's smooth and I can still flow, and I don't feel like I'm doing everything at once and I'm stressing myself. I'm thinking right now, just trying to go back down, relax, try to get into a routine, and actually like try to focus on my health. Because I feel that as designers, as artists, creatives, we are so focused and zoned in on doing everything for ourselves and focusing on our career, and we really forget about our health. Like, did you eat today, sis? Like, make sure you take a shower. Like, did you do something that related to your health, not just your career? And what I've been trying to implement now is like things in my routine that aren't design related, like trying to do yoga again, trying to meditate, trying to read more books, trying to educate myself in a way where I don't feel overwhelmed with all this damn design work I need to do. I feel that I want to learn things that aren't related to my, everyday career path. So I can feel a lot stronger when I go back. So yeah, that's like, I don't know, that's an in-depth answer, but I feel like that's my life right now. I'm trying to calm the hell down and breathe.
No, I kind of feel that though, because, when Cameron and I, Cameron with his art and me with writing and podcasting and stuff, it gets so overwhelming. You just sort of like, you just sometimes sort of need to take a step back, because when you're in it, you're just so wound up, And like, for instance, we'll play like very time consuming video games that are like going to occupy our brains, just so we literally don't have to think about anything else, because then you come back after not thinking about it for a while and it just gives new perspective, and you're like, oh, maybe like maybe me sleeping 4 hours a night and working and just like killing myself over all this stuff, like maybe it's not worth it so much. Maybe I need to take it. Maybe I need to take a breath.
Yes, like breathe. Like,
yeah.
I totally feel you, because like I like most people, like I went to school for cartooning. It's not like there's like a shit ton of cartooning jobs. We had like, and like even if we have whatever 80 kids in the major, that like only like 5 to maybe 5 kids are going to be like successful in cartooning that graduate. And so you get out of graduation and you already shitting bricks. You know what I mean? Like you got 20 shat bricks on the floor already, and you're like, okay, what do I do? Like, what am I going to do?
Home.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm in New York. It's kind of like, maybe that's the best way to go. But
is that true though? Was it really?
Is what true?
People? Was there 80 people in your major or no? Was that true for real?
Yeah, we had like, I don't know, like 60, 80.
Dang,
yeah.
I didn't know that. See?
Yeah, because SVA is all design. That shit that y'all got hundreds.
No, I feel like that's the only reason why I was able to study online, because like I was, because there was so many people in the major, and they're like, okay, we're not trying to like max out all these people in so many classes, so let's try to give some people online. I think that was the reason why. But yeah, there's a lot of people. That's why I don't know. I think I get so like, I'm like, wow, there's only 80, and then you're like, damn, how many in my major? It's like probably like 1,000 or more.
Yeah, y'all got racks of kids, bro.
Man, it's annoying, because it's like, that's hard to stand out. You really have to scrape. A senior told me this when I was a freshman, was like, you need to scrape your way to the top. And it's like, and don't let your ego get ahead of you. I'm just letting you know that now, because that's something I also been learning. Like, don't think you the best thing in the whole world just because you know how to do something. But it's like, they said like, at our school, we really have to like fight to be the top. And it's because it's so competitive. And that shit is, I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know. Like, that's the thing too. Is it hard to have a competitive job, or is it hard to be one and the only one in like a field that's like you're trying to find it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's definitely it's a balance. I think they're both equally stressful, to be honest. Just like within our industry, because it's like, well, if you have something that can be profitable, it means that a bunch of people are going to be going after it. Versus if you don't know something's profitable, you don't know if anyone's going to want it. So you could be kind of asked out either way. But I think one of the things they have in common is, especially as an artist, where there aren't necessarily like, it's not like, I guess sometimes if you're in design and you get into a studio and then you have that kind of stability, but if you're really trying to be your own boss and trying to make your own money type of shit, then there's almost like an infinite amount of work that you can do at any time. You know what I mean? Like you could be sleeping, but you also could be researching how to do this, or you could be learning how to do that, or you could be working on this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I definitely feel you on how it becomes kind of overwhelming in terms of like all of the things you can do, as well as the oversaturation of people that you're looking at that are doing amazing things, which is always like a source of stress. Like, I'm not going to front, like, you see niggas stunting, like, you want to stunt too. Like, come on now. Like,
it's like that episode of Atlanta.
Yeah, like it's not easy watching people succeed while you just out here plucking away. It's difficult. But I just definitely feel with you on that. And I will say, like, I wish I could say it got easier, but
Oh.
I'm not going to try to like mince words or nothing like that, but definitely it's something that, but it's good that you're dealing with it now. So that means like when you out in the world, it's not something that like, drops on your head and knocks you out. Like you're going to still be plugging away at it. And
It's
yeah.
crazy. Then that's the thing too. Like even on LinkedIn, it's crazy with LinkedIn. Like I'll see things, right, and I'll comment. There was like the comment that I was talking about when it came to unpaid internships, and I was talking about like I applied to like 100 internships, and like no one's gotten back to me. And somebody was just like, like that's just how the shit is. Like, and it's hard, but it's like damn, that's true though. Like you just have to deal with it. And I think you have to I think that's what's cool about like everybody's industry though. It's like everyone is taking a different route to get where they want to be. And I feel like that in itself is like very important that people shouldn't forget.
Yeah, and it's like it's important because like sometimes when you're in the doghouse, you don't realize that there's a bunch of other doghouses around you that everyone else is also in. And so like sometimes you get in your head and you're like, yo, shit's mad difficult, but it's difficult everywhere. Like if you're an artist, shit is hard. Like it's
Yes.
gonna be hard regardless. Like the same way you apply to 200 different internships, you know how many I applied to? I applied to 3 because that's all there were. That's the only options. You know what I mean? Like we all struggling out here. But
That's how they work.
but
Damn.
yeah, but like on the topic of client work and stuff like that, because I feel like that's something I always like to touch upon when I'm talking to other creatives. Like, what has been your experience doing like freelance work or client work, and do you have any advice to someone that may be trying to get into that vein?
I have so many like rants about this. But just with okay, I'm gonna start with like dealing with clients and then I'll give my advice. When it comes to dealing with clients, right? There are so many ways to go about it. And I myself, I want to reach to a point where like my goals is that I want to have a 10K per client. And that may sound crazy, right? But when you really think about it, right? There is different value in your work based on how you view your work and how do you value your work. And I really want to start viewing my work as, 10K plus work. I don't want to view it no more as like $50 for a logo or $50 for a design. I really want to view it as something that is big, that if all these corporations can do it, why can't I? Especially if I'm paying so much for school, I need to get my return on investment. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
the thing is, when it comes to client work, it is really hard in general because I myself, I'm still just today, I'm still trying to find clients. I have a thing where I want to find clients now where it's more than just like my family members or my friends. It's more than just like people who need a logo, people who need this. I want to find that ideal client, my quote unquote dream client, where it's like branding or working with fashion people, working with all these different like brands and companies and doing their design work in that sense. And that's still gonna be my goal and I'm still working on it. And I feel like people shouldn't discourage themselves if they're in that route when they're trying to find a client. But even not starting out, like you're gonna deal with shitty clients. You're gonna deal with clients who don't want to pay you. You're gonna deal with things, but I would say make sure you have your things in order first. And I think and I feel like I want to say this just because I didn't have no one to say this. Having contracts, making sure that like you have an invoice or like a deposit before you get paid. I feel like and that's the reason why I want to start doing this as far as teaching other people this type of stuff, just because we're not taught that in school as much as we should be.
No, we are
And
not.
and that's the problem because that's how you really can get scammed or you really can go through things that you just don't know about just because no one taught you how to be a freelancer. Everyone taught you how to be like how can you be a minion to someone else, but no one taught you how to can you do it. How can you do it to someone else? No, but that's the thing. Like no one taught you how to be independent as far as like doing it yourself. Not many people do that unless you go up on different things or you take certain specific classes. Like there's certain classes that you can take too. Like I think business classes are good like advice for people who are still in school or entrepreneurship, but even like YouTube too, like I said. But I think like understanding first that like, if I feel like if people really want to get into client work, like you just have to know like don't be gullible when it comes to like pricing. Um, you know, and do your research. I feel like people do not do their research and that's why they kind of get like screwed over because they just like they'll do things for all these cheap works, and it's like your work is more valuable than that, and you have to look at your work and think about it like, would I pay for this? And is this like valuable, and how valuable is this? Like even like the other day, like and I'm so happy we're talking about this. Even the other day, and I'm not gonna pull out all my prices, right? But someone wanted to charge me $50 for a logo, right? And I was just like, I can't do that no more. And I was like, I'm sorry, I just can't. And it's like you have to look at there's so many things that go into just pricing, like what are your expenses? What are the things that you pay for? The cost of that, and then the software. Do people know how expensive Adobe is? Like people don't know
Adobe
that.
is
They
yo
definitely
Illustrator. I
Yeah.
accidentally forgot to cancel my Illustrator because I did a design project. Yo, I felt like I got kicked in the fucking kidney.
That's
Like,
what I'm saying.
like
Like people forget, like we're not just sitting here making shit look pretty. We got bills to pay. Like people forget that, and it's like but that is what I'm saying as far as like this is why a proposal comes in. This is why a contract comes in, because you have to you have to protect yourself as a designer and as an artist before someone can take advantage of you. And like, and I think too, if people who are going through things, that's just gonna happen, and you have to take it as like a learning experience. Like there's going to be situations where you're like, damn, I should have charged this client this, or damn, I should have gave this client this. Like I've had people steal my work before. Like I've had just crazy things. I've had crazy things happen to me in the world of freelancing. But I think all of that happens in a sense where it has to be a learning experience. It has to be something where it's like, how is this not going to happen again? And what am I going to change to make it not happen again? And that's what I'm saying. You got to learn, take your time, and that's the thing too. If you want to work with your family and start off just by like getting clientele, I think that's a good advice. But like if you don't, that's fine. Like just try to find people who might value your work, and don't be discouraged if you can't like find your client like ASAP. Just because everyone's still trying to do that, everyone's still trying to be a freelancer, and it's just as saturated, just as trying to work at an agency. But last thing too, like it takes time, and like I think you still have to educate yourself on that too. Like what is this? I think it's called The Freelance Hustle, by David Heredia, right? That was a good book as far for me to like as far as like understanding the struggles of being a freelancer. Just him in that book explains like just little things as far as what he went through and the struggles that he had to go through with getting paid, or having people take his work, or having his work being stolen, and the copyright issues and all these things, right? I think not every designer should do this, like write a book about what they go through, but I think just reading it from a designer's perspective, it just made sense to me as far as like, okay, and that's the thing too. He does different things too. He makes like books and other things, and the thing is, it's like it's not just designers going through this. This could be any other type of creative, but I think learning about it and reading it and actually like trying to understand the struggles that he went through, it makes me realize like, damn, how can I not go through this based off of what he went through? And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like just educating yourself is a very important when it comes to that realm. But like I said, don't be discouraged. But I've had many clients where it's like it's bad situations, bad clients, but I think you still have to try to keep it professional at the same time. Like you do not want to go ham on a client, or you don't want to, mess up a relationship with a client, but like you still have to be honest at the same time. And I think that's kind of my thing where when it comes to working with clients too, like some people like I said, that $50 logo thing, right? It's like I had to be honest with myself and say, okay, I can't do this no more. Like, and the way I say that to a client is just I'm sorry, I'm not the perfect designer for that. And it's just because of valuing your work. But yeah, like in general, you gotta just take it one step at a time. It's kind of like going through school again, but like you have to just keep pushing yourself to do it.
It's an interesting way of looking at it, going through school again.
Because it's like you're still you're relearning something, and that's the thing too when it comes to like learning different things, like everything too, like investing, learn to read, learn to write, doing all these things, right? It comes with steps, and it's like you still have to relearn, and that's what people don't understand too. Even if you want to be like a teacher or professor, right? You have to not only know what you're teaching, you have to know how to be a teacher at the same time. So it's just like being a freelancer. Like if you want to be a freelancer, you have to be able to know the skill that you're freelancing in, but you also need to know how to be a freelancer in itself. Like, how do you handle clients when they say certain things? Or how do you write up contracts? Or how do you, communicate with certain people, or even sell to people too? Like, you still have to learn that just like you would learn school in as far as those steps. So that's why I try to think of it too. That's why I still try to see it as it's just as important as school, just because this is my way of payment based off of the education I was getting.
Word.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was in depth. But
no, I mean, I feel like you have like a really good experience to share. And yeah, I just feel like that's it. You just have, and you're like very good at describing sort of the process and, your view of it versus like what somebody maybe should do. I don't know. I just think it's very valuable. So something we like to do, sort of the last question we usually have for guests is something we call a statement of intent. And basically, it can be as broad as I'm going to get this money, or as specific as I'm going to release this podcast at 8 p.m. on the 9th of October. Basically, we just want you to put something out there for you to get done that, you want to manifest. And you can take a sec to think about it, but what is your statement of intent?
Oh my gosh, this is so I'm sitting here, I'm like, let me think of the quotes I've written. Let's see. I'm going to let me think. I'm going to quote someone that's probably said this before, but I'm going to manifest far from my success. Boom, there you go.
There you go. All right.
Oh.
Cameron, you got anything else before we get on out of here?
No, it was great talking to you. You were like super insightful. You really on the shit. You're doing a lot of stuff. I think it's great for people to see that you can do all these things at once and not be, completely overwhelmed, but also know your direction and still be all right.
Facts.
So shout outs to you. Good shit, keeping it together going into the school year. I'm excited for you, bro.
Yeah.
Your shit.
Yeah. Seriously, man. So thank you again to Lauren for joining us. Make sure you check out her podcast. Her podcast is called The Struggle of a Graphic Designer. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Anchor. We actually also have our podcast on Anchor. So what's up, Anchor? Thanks for holding it down. Follow her on Instagram too. Lauren, what is your Instagram tag just for the people?
Lodesigns.studio. So Lodesigns.studio. I'm going to say it again like an ad.
Hey, no, might as well get that shit out.
No, Lodesigns or Lodesigns.studio is my Instagram handle. And you can find me like anywhere based off of that too. My website is lodesigns.studio. Not lodesignstudio.com. It's lodesigns.studio. So
you know what? I actually did notice that there was another Lodesigns, and it's like furniture and interior decorating. I was like, oh, this is not what I'm looking for.
That's why. I don't know if I'm gonna change my name, but I think I will.
A rebrand. Oh my.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I don't know what I'm gonna do, but that's probably like beyond the works. I'm gonna try to see.
Get your shit off. All right. Thank you again, everyone, for listening. Make sure you check out her Instagram page. Make sure you check out our Instagram page. Make sure you check out at stow_low_. Don't forget the second underscore. That is Cameron's Instagram page. Check out previous podcasts. Like, share, subscribe. All the good shit. Don't forget to comment, because that really helps us with the algorithm. And Lauren, thank you again for joining. We appreciate you. And we're gone.